wait a minute. Before we start this edition, I do want to apologize on there. This episode was supposed to have been last night's 10 o'clock show. But unfortunately, some extra news features and articles came out concerning some of the information we gave. We held off a little bit to see if we needed to change anything, edit stuff out that the information has changed the situation, because it just came at a point where we were about to upload and then suddenly some new information came out at that time. So we wanted to make sure that we were right on target and intact with all the information that we gave you, which we are. But there will be a second episode added to this today, because basically we wanted to add what was going on yesterday, because several things have hit that sort of, it's part of the storyline and some of it is not part of the story, which is just, but it's all detailed about Cyberpunk 2077. So enjoy this video, like, subscribe, support, share, very important. So on with the show. Well, here we go again. When you thought it was safe to turn the page about Cyberpunk, they just keep coming after it, because basically these guys don't know what the Cyberpunk universe is and who created it, why was it created, what about the characters and stuff like that. They just don't understand, and they write these stories that are just ridiculous against it. Telling you not to buy the product because of the way it is. But before we start on that, subscribe, like, support, share. Very important. Like I said, we've been fighting here to keep us relevant in YouTube. We want to stay here. We want to build this channel up. We want to bring you more programming. But without the subscribe, like, and sharing, we just don't go anywhere. We want to put this out. If you have friends, if you have family, give them the videos. Tell them, hit that like button, share it with more people. Tell them about us, Tell them the stories that, that you're hearing on there, that this is a place where you can see stories. Give them the names of the other YouTubers that have great shows. You can see it on the right of our screen here. Well, actually, you're right. And you see all these YouTubers like Kitten Academy. Kitten Academy. In fact, when you get a chance, go over to Kitten Academy. They moved to Connecticut. They just got their first mom cat, and the mom cat last night gave birth. 12 hours of labor. I don't know if they're posting the labor, because they normally did before, where they showed when the cat gave birth. It is fantastic. It's 5 beautiful kittens. They're live streaming it. You'll see the nursing, and then there's like a little video in between explaining the kittens and stuff like that. And they give them each. Mom cat group gets a certain name, and they sort of like pick a sort of subject. Like there was one group that were based on spices. They all had cinnamon and all different. The names were based on spices, and it's really, really cool what they do at Kitten Academy. And I do highly recommend them. Go over them, give them some love, thumbs up them, subscribe to them, comment, tell them you love the stuff. And also, they take donations. One thing, this is a group that they work on donations heavily to keep the organization going, because basically they basically raise these cats to a point where they can adopt them out, even the mom cats, and basically they get them adopted. And basically they do need stuff sent to them, food, toys, and stuff like that. And there's like once, I think every weekend on Saturdays, they do like an unpacking of all the cool stuff, and they thank each individual person that sent them the stuff, because they get some really cool stuff. I've seen some stuff on there that I've even bought for my cats that was on the Kitten Academy web page, that they had them sent to them, and my cats love those toys as well. I mean, there's some great stuff that they get on that. So check it out on your right corner section there. It's the first one up on top there. Give them a click. Give them some love. So what we have here, and I thank One Angry Gamer, and also I thank Yellow Flash. Yellow Flash did a story on this as well. Basically, there was a couple of hit pieces. There was a hit piece on rock, paper, shotgun, which was done on the 12th. And, I mean, they just literally pounded Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, they were making, first we saw that it came out, and I didn't report this yet, that there's a picture of a transgender, and you could see the privates in the picture. And you kind of figured that the transgender community would be like, oh, yes, finally, there's some transgender and stuff like that. People were freaking flipping out about it. They said, oh, you're just sexualizing and stuff like that. It's a poster for an ad. Of course it's going to be sexualizing because it's an ad. Cyberpunk 2077, it's a dystopian future also, like we spoke before about dystopian futures in the anime world. Basically, corporations use this to sell things, to push things on people. But then now we get to the point where they're talking about the gangs, the voodoo crew boys or whatever it is, and the animals and stuff like that. They said, oh, look, they make directives that black people are animals and stuff like that. And it's using names. And you look at the gangs today out in the real world. A name of a gang shows how strong they want to be, not what they are. Or sometimes it is what they are, but you have to remember, it's what they promote themselves to be. A gang could be very vicious and strong. If you go back to the movie with Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen, Red Dawn, they called themselves the Wolverines, because they were wild animal. The Wolverine's a wild animal that was vicious and stuff like that, and it had strength. And that's how they portrayed themselves, because that's what they did. They hit and run, and that's what they believed as themselves. And it was the name of the football team, the Wolverines. And basically, when you hear this situation and some of the things, and some of the comments online, I mean, the Twitters and some other posts and stuff like that, I think there was someone that had said, I don't think the original creator had nothing to do with this. He would be ashamed on there. Well, the creator of Cyberpunk 2020, which is the major consultant for 2077, Mike Pondsmith, dropped some hell of Reddit posts that slammed a lot of people on there. And, one of them was like, if I wasn't heavily involved, I wouldn't be able to get more done. As it is, I barely have a life. And it just basically, and it goes on there. As for the animals, the whole freaking point is that they think themselves as powerful, dangerous, wild animals. You would have thought thought it by the lady that's named Sasquatch would have given the clue. The original Voodoo Boys was a scathing commentary on the cultural appropriation. I love the idea of the real practitioners of Voodoo moved in and took their turf. And they even got the Creole right. And let me tell you, there are some videos of guys who are black Haitians who says, I tell you, I love it, that they played the demo and they said they loved it, how they're, the way they speaking and stuff like that, and that it's done right. And the last part is like, who the bleep do you think you are to tell me whether my creation was done right or not? And he is totally, absolutely right. I mean, this is going to be one of the biggest games of all time. Cyberpunk has been around for years. Mike Pondsmith created the Cyberpunk universe. It's always, the RPG game has always been very popular. It's, for a company like CD Projekt Red to do this, and they've been working on it constantly. They didn't make this, overnight. They took their time to basically mold this game into the vision that Mike Pondsmith did from his original game series. And, to see this done properly, it's going to be big sell. It's going to be a big sellout. If they continue the way they're going and the way it looks, a lot of people are going to buy it. But you got these people that just basically have never really played these games. They don't know nothing. They write these stories and they just literally know nothing. They just virtual signal because of what they see and how they interpret certain characters in series. I mean, have they not seen Predator 2 with the what was it, the Mexican gang and the Jamaican gang that was in there? Come on, talk about that that they really pushed onto those gangs. You don't virtual signal on those. There are many different movies. There's one or two Steven Seagal movies about voodoo gangs, and a couple of other action series and stuff like that portray gangs are gangs, and they portray their strengths and weaknesses by the name that they give themselves. That's always been in any movie, book, series. And for you to sit there and condemn, someone who doesn't really play it, they don't really understand what this is, and to just literally criticize it and just say, yeah, they're just signaling racism and stuff like that. You don't get the fact of what this future is. This dystopian future where basically anybody can make up what they want to be, and sometimes that's not a good thing. Adding robots pieces, and I push back onto there, like the series Ghost in the Shell. Ghost in the Shell was a fantastic movie and standalone complex, a great series. And like I said before, there's a character on the show. He never changed himself. He never had cybernetic parts. Basically, he's just 100% pure human. And there's a line where he says, why was I chosen to work on this group with all these people that they have cybernetic parts and different things, eyes, arms, and all that. And he said, sometimes, and the main character, Ghost in the Shell, she told him, it says, sometimes we need the purity and the thought of someone who is a true human being. That's very important. What your style is, what you believe, your beliefs, it keeps the group intact. It's a good mixture. But they're not going to tell you these things. They're not going to tell you how a lot of this works out for everybody. They're just going to tell you, oh, it's bad because of the advertisement that they put in there. They talk nothing of what the story is. And they know nothing. And it's the same thing with anime and all the other fandoms. And I keep saying, it's this small amount of group that attacks all the fandoms. They attack the Star Trek. They attack the Star Wars. They attack the video game, Cyberpunk. They attack Attack on Titan and Full Metal Alchemist. And basically, they really never watched it. They probably skimmed through most of this and just took it as is. And they just believe what they believe. They want to believe it, fine. But don't push that on people. That's not what people believe. There are many good people who watch anime constantly. They're lawyers. God will tell you, there are lawyers and politicians and big business people that do watch anime. I'm 52. I've been watching anime since I was a kid. Since I was about, going all the way back to about 9-10 years old. That goes back a bit. Anime's been around a long time. And I've been playing video games just as long. I go back to the original Pong, the ColecoVision, 2600 Atari. Back then they used to criticize a lot of the games that were on there. There was some adult games that basically, even though they were 8-bit, you look at it today and you're like, well, that's not so bad. But back then, oh my God, talk about, they just really went off. They said, oh my God, they're just basically indoctrinating children and stuff like that. Has no one seen the piece by Teen Vogue where they talked about prostitution, that prostitution is okay? A magazine that is basically geared for 13-year-olds, and they're talking about that prostitution is okay? Have they not seen that? And, there's some crazy stuff out there. And, when they talk about stories that basically are just stories, they are just literally just don't understand. Or they have video games that also have stories. And they say, oh, it's violent, or it's sexist, or it's racist. Look what they're doing and stuff like that. Let me tell you something to any of these companies. If any of these companies listening, watching, don't bend the knee to any of these people. I mean, God forsake, Sarkazian is trying to get involved with it. I mean, after we got rid of her for a while, that she's no longer relevant, she's trying to make herself relevant again. Don't bend the knee because they don't care. You'll never satisfy. And I've always said this. Don't piss off your core customers. You will never get 100% of your customers. You might get 95%, you might get 96, 97, but you're never going to get those last percentage of customers. Never, ever, ever. Because basically people have different opinions. It's always going to be like that. And the people who criticize this the most are in the minority. The people who sit there paying money, paying your salaries, whether you're a game company, or a streaming site, movie production house, TV series productions, stuff like that. These are your core people that watch constantly. They're the ones who shell out money. They're the ones who pay to conventions. If you saw the videos from Anime Matsui, wow, those are some great, groups that we're going to see Vic Mignogna out there and to spend money at these conventions. I used to go to these conventions. I stopped because of the way some people were acting. Some of the people, these small mini one protectors, and it's just hurting a lot of these. But I'm telling you, don't do what I'm doing and stop going. Continue to go. Go to these conventions. I mean, I gotten to the point where my health doesn't get me out as much as it used to be. But like I said, I don't like going to these conventions anymore, and it's primarily because I don't want to deal with some of these people, these small little percentiles, and my health. I try to stay strong as possible, and this is why I like doing this online, because I like to talk to you guys online. So tell me, comment below. Tell me what you think of this whole situation. Tell me, Mike just stepped up. Mike Pondsmith, he's just stepped up and slammed these critics. I mean, really, truly slammed. I think Yang Yi has a great interview with him. That's another YouTuber that's fantastic, who's trying to get into the anime voice industry, or in the voice animation voice industry. On there, I believe he just moved to LA, but he gives a great show about games and animation and stuff like that on his site. And he just was at E3, and he has an interview with Mike, and it's a great interview. Check it out. Go to his site. It's a great channel. Give him some love. Subscribe. But also, don't forget we are on Minds and Gab. I just went off the bat here. So that we're on mindsandgab.com. Subscribe to us there. Subscribe to us here on YouTube. Share these videos. Send them out to your friends. Send them out as cards. Do what you can. And those of you who could throw something at us, support. Throw a couple bucks our way, because shows like this cost money. To maintenance the equipment, to get new equipment, to change things around, to expand. I mean, we want to expand big. I mean, the future for this channel is some of the things we want to do. It's going to cost us money, and it's not cheap at all. It's not cheap to get a staff. I've lost some people on there. I mean, we're very minimal right now. The basic core unit is we're between us and the Rabbit T Rabbit, there's like maybe 4 total on there. One's an editor, the other one, here me, Zane, on here, and the other 2 are handling all the libraries that we have, that basically the remastering and stuff like that, preparing. And that costs money. The storage facility costs money. You have no idea. I have to get a picture of the size of the library that we just got from the family of Richard Concepcion. I mean, this was a gigantic library that was sitting in his home for many, many years. And most of it is on older formats, from 3/4 inch U-matic tapes to smaller tape units to VHS. You know, a lot of it is old and, you know, deteriorating, and basically some stuff I don't know if we'll be able to remaster. You know, we're trying to do our best to get this together. But we have to see what happens in the future. And one thing is supporting this channel. And that's very important. If you can't, subscribe, like, and share are just as important. And also subscribing to other YouTubers on here are just as important. We want to keep this platform alive. And if it does go away, at least by supporting us, we'll be able to get to a new platform. I mean, like I said, we're on BitChute as well. And we're trying to make arrangements to create our own channel network. I mean, that's some of the things we have on the drawing board. I mean, we would love to put this out constantly in a place where you could just go to a channel, not worry about what we say, what we do, and just basically watch the programming, you know, on a daily basis. You know, sort of like a Pluto TV network. So, comment, subscribe, like, support, share. We'll see you tomorrow in the early evening. Have a good evening. Enjoy it. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.